Hi everyone, I'm Claire from Susan's family. Today I'll teach you how to make the Fresh Fruit Moments carry set, the pomegranate version. This bag is designed in the shape of a fruit. The small fruit ornament is exquisitely and realistically shaped, with bright and eye-catching colors, and is lively and cute. The small bag and ornament can be used separately, or attached to the large bag. It's convenient and practical. If you need to purchase the original materials kit, and receive crocheting guidance, please visit our website, www.susodiy.com, to reach the store directly. Now, let's get started. The product includes 2 bags, one large and one small, and a decorative hanging ornament. Each bag is divided into 2 parts, the main body and accessories. The main body of the large bag is divided into 2 sections, the finished product bottom and the body. The small bag's main body is crocheted as one single piece. First, let's learn the crochet method for the large bag. We'll start with how to crochet the upper part of the bag. Take a look at the pattern chart. The bag body is joined to the bottom by attaching the yarn. First, work the first 2 rounds by crocheting into the holes along the bag bottom. Then, continue crocheting upward in a counterclockwise spiral. This method skips the turning chains and slip stitches at the end of each round, resulting in a cleaner and more polished appearance. Holes for the drawstring are left during the last 2 rounds. The stitch techniques used include chain stitches, single crochets, slip stitches, and double crochets. Before starting the actual crochet work, let's first go over the proper posture for crocheting. To make it easier to see, I'll demonstrate using chunky yarn. The color scheme is random. For specific yarn details, color choices and hook sizes, please refer to the product detail page and printed pattern instructions. Wrap the yarn tail around your left pinky once, then pass it between your middle finger and index finger. Pinch the yarn tail with your thumb and middle finger. Then pick up the crochet hook with your right hand. The hook moves between these 2 points. Join the yarn on the bottom of the bag and crochet the first round. Face the side of the bottom with the metal studs towards you. This is the right side of the bag bottom. Place the yarn behind any hole at the bottom of the bag, leaving a little yarn tail. Insert the hook into this hole. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise around the hook. Then pull the yarn through. Pull both threads to the same height as the edge of the bag bottom. The joining is complete. Next, work 1 chain stitch as the turning chain for the single crochet. Position the hook to the left side of the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise around the hook. Then draw the yarn through the loop. 1 chain stitch is done. The turning chain for the single crochet does not count as 1 stitch. Next, work a single crochet into the hole below. Insert into the hole. Place the yarn tail for joining over the hook and weave it in. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Pull it to the same height as the edge of the bag bottom. There are 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again, and draw through all loops on the hook. 1 single crochet stitch is completed. There are 2 strands of yarn, forming a V shape at the top right of the single crochet. This is the stitch of the single crochet. Continue working single crochets in the same chain space. Insert into the chain space. Keep weaving in the yarn tail for joining. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Pull it to the same level as the edge. Yarn over again, and draw through both loops on the hook. The second single crochet is completed. Then work 3 single crochets into each of the 2 adjacent chain spaces on the left side. Then work 2 single crochets in the hole on the left side. And then in the next 2 holes, make 3 single crochets in each of them. Let's take a look at the piece. Treat these 3 holes as one group. Continue repeating this pattern down in groups like this, until you reach the last chain space. Now you've reached this position. Work 4 single crochets into the last chain space. Then check the stitch count. Please refer to the pattern chart for the exact number of stitches. Don't add or miss any stitches. Next, work a slip stitch in the first stitch, which is the first chain on the left side of the yarn tail. Insert into the stitch. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. Draw through all loops on the hook in once. 1 slip stitch is completed. This chain is the stitch for the slip stitch. The joining slip stitch does not count as a stitch. We need to tighten it to avoid adding extra stitches later. The first round is completed. Next, crochet the second round. This round needs to be crocheted on the wrong side. Turn the workpiece counterclockwise on the stitch at the left side of the yarn tail, which is the last stitch of the previous round. Work 1 slip stitch. The stitch for the backside single crochet is at the upper left. Insert into the stitch. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Pull through all loops on the hook in once. The slip stitch is completed. Note that the slip stitch here is crocheted normally. We no need to tighten it. This stitch is the first stitch of this round. Continue working 1 slip stitch on the left stitch. If your hands are tight, you can slightly stretch the loop. Crochet a bit looser, which is convenient for the following crocheting. Work a slip stitch matching 1 stitch to another on the next stitch to complete this round. The last slip stitch is worked into the first single crochet of the previous round. Don't miss it. Check the number of stitches after completion. TT should be the same as the stitch count of round 1. Count the V-shaped loops of the slip stitches. 1 loop represents 1 stitch. Finally, join with a slip stitch into the first slip stitch loop. The joining slip stitch needs to be pulled tight. Round 2 is completed. Next, crochet round 3. This round is worked on the right side. Make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Turn the work counterclockwise. You can see there are 2 rounds of loops here. The front one is the single crochet stitch loop of round 1. And the back one is the slip stitch loop. This entire round is worked into the slip stitch loops. You can see that on the left side of the beginning chain, there are 2 braids of slip stitches, 1 large and 1 small. Pick up the larger loop and make 1 single crochet stitch. This stitch also corresponds to the first single crochet of round 1. Continue with one stitch to another. Pick up the slip stitch loop, and make a single crochet to complete this round. After completing the last single crochet stitch, the third round is completed. You can see the stitches of the first round, forming a braid at the bottom of this round. This side will be the right side of the piece. When crocheting the body later, always keep the right side facing you. Move on to the fourth round. Since the body will be crocheted in spirals later, you can use a scrap yarn in a different color from the body. To mark the position of the first stitch of each round, place the spare yarn tail to the left of this stitch. Then work into the left stitch. Make one single crochet. This stitch also corresponds to the first single crochet of the previous round. The marker yarn tail is at the bottom right corner of this stitch. Continue picking up the adjacent stitch on the left. Work single crochets into each stitch in sequence. Keep crocheting until right before the marker yarn tail. This completes the fourth round. Since it's crocheted in spirals, the beginning and ending create this height difference, which is completely normal. Move on to the fifth round. First, slide the marker yarn tail along the right side of the first stitch, and place it behind the stitch. Then directly pick up the left stitch, and make a single crochet. The crochet method for the back body is quite simple. Simply work single crochets into each stitch one by one, before starting the first stitch of each round. You need to move the marker yarn tail first. If the yarn tail is too short, you can simply pull out a bit more of the tail from the outside, then remark it. This method is very straightforward, so I won't demonstrate it further. Please continue crocheting on your own until reaching the last 2 rounds of the body. Please refer to the chart for the exact number of rounds. Now that we've crocheted a few rounds on the swatch, I'll teach you how to count the rounds. The fabric surface has raised textures round by round. Each texture represents 1 round. Skip the first 2 rounds that have slip stitch marks in this column, on top of the chain stitch of the first round stitch. The raised texture in this round is on the third round. 4, 5, 6. Now we've crocheted 6 rounds. During the crocheting process, you might run into a situation where one yarn isn't long enough, and you need to join yarn. I'll demonstrate the specific method using this swatch. Start with an incomplete single crochet stitch. Insert into the stitch. Pull the yarn through. There are 2 loops on your hook. Hang the tail end of the new yarn with your left hand, leaving about 5 centimeters in length. Yarn over, and draw through both loops at once. Gently tighten the hanging yarn end underneath. Now the yarn is joined successfully. These 2 yarn ends can be weaved in together when crocheting single crochets. For any future situations where you need to join yarn, follow this same method. The second to last round requires creating a hole for the drawstring. I'll demonstrate using this small swatch. This swatch has fewer rounds and stitches. It's only to show the method. Continue from the ending position before. First, work 1 slip stitch on the left stitch. Bring the yarn end over to this position as a bridge. Then chain 3, which serves as the beginning chain for the double crochet, and counts as 1 double crochet, corresponding to the single crochet stitch below. Then work 1 double crochet on the left stitch. Yarn over. Insert the hook into the stitch. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. There are now 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Pass through the first 2 loops. There are 2 loops left. Yarn over again. Draw through in one go. 1 double crochet is completed. Then work another double crochet into the adjacent stitch on the left. Yarn over. Insert the hook. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Pass through the first 2 loops in sequence. Repeat it twice. 1, 2. Another double crochet is completed. Then work 3 chain stitches. Skip 3 stitches. Start from the 4th stitch. Crochet 3 double crochets correspondingly. Then crochet 3 chain stitches. Skip 3 stitches. Work 3 double crochets correspondingly. Let's take a look at the piece. This round is simply skipping 3 stitches. Crochet 3 double crochets. Between every 3 double crochets, connect with 3 chain stitches. Each chain space forms a hole like this. Continue down following this pattern to finish this round. Finish the last 3 double crochets. Then crochet 3 chain stitches. Join with a slip stitch on the 3rd chain of the beginning chains. Meaning pick up these 2 strands like this. And crochet a slip stitch. Pull tight. The second to last round is complete. The marked yarn tail is no longer needed. You can simply pull it out. Move on to the final round. Start with 1 chain stitch as your beginning chain. Then pick up the 3rd braid from the bottom of the beginning chain. Work 1 single crochet. Next, pick up the adjacent stitch on the left. Make 2 single crochets evenly. Now you've reached the chain space. Pick up the large chain space and work 3 single crochets. Corresponding to these 3 chain loops. Continue picking up stitches and work 3 single crochets. Work 3 single crochets into the chain space. Work 1 single crochet in each stitch. Keep crocheting until the end of this round. Once completed, join with a slip stitch into the first single crochet stitch. Pull tight. The last round is done. Next, cut the yarn. Secure it with 1 chain stitch. Leave a tail of about 5 centimeters and then cut the yarn. Weave in the yarn tail to the wrong side of the fabric. Make sure to weave in several stitches securely. Trim off any excess yarn tails. The small sample body is now completed. Up to this point, the crochet method for the main body of the large bag is now complete. Next, start making the main body of small bag. First, let's look at the chart. The chart uses our plus number to indicate rounds. The stitch instructions column shows the stitches needed for crocheting the current round, as well as where to increase or decrease. The total stitches column shows the total number of stitches after completing all the stitches in the current round. The stitches used are X for single crochet, V for SC2-in-1, and a CH3SL picket. Now please watch me demonstrate the specific crochet method. I'll continue using cotton yarn for the demonstration with a random color scheme. First, take a piece of waste yarn in a different color from the bag body. To mark the position of the first stitch of each round, the cast on is Mr. Indicating the cast on method is the magic ring technique. Pick up the yarn tail with your right hand. Wrap it around your left index finger twice. Now there are 3 strands of yarn on your left index finger. Use your right thumb and index finger to pinch the overlapping part of the loops. Take it off. Then hold the yarn in place with your left hand. Transfer the loop between your left middle finger and thumb. Pick up the crochet hook with your right hand. Insert into the loop. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. There is now 1 loop on your hook. Work a chain stitch to secure. The magic ring is now complete. Keep the loop on the hook slightly loose for easier crocheting later. Now work the first round. R1 is 6x. The number before the X means how many single crochets to make. This means you will work 6 single crochets into the magic ring loop. Simply insert the hook into the large space and crochet. After completing, weave the marker yarn tail into the large space. Then close the magic ring by pulling the starting tail. There are 2 loops on the hook. First, gently pull the starting yarn tail. 1 loop is still moving. Tighten the moving loop. Only 1 loop remains. Simply pull the yarn tail tight. The loop is now closed properly. Since we're using the spiral crochet method, each round only requires following the stitch pattern in the chart. Well, the first round is now done. Move on to crochet the second round next. Round 2 is 6V. The number before the V indicates how many SC2-in-1 should work in a row. This means you'll crochet 6 SC2-in-1 in a row. First, place the marked yarn tail on the left side of the last stitch. The method is the same as marking for the large bag. I won't repeat these instructions moving forward. Then, make a SC2-in-1 in the adjacent stitch on the left, which means crocheting 2 single crochets into the same stitch. When crocheting, keep the starting yarn tail above the hook and weave in the ends as you go along. The first stitch, the second stitch, the SC2-in-1 is completed. The marked yarn tail is at the bottom right corner of the first single crochet. Continue making a SC2-in-1 on the left stitch. Don't forget to weave in the yarn ends. The second SC2-in-1 is completed. This round requires 6 single crochet increases in total. For the remaining 4 stitches, work 2 single crochets in each stitch. The last SC2-in-1 is worked into the stitch adjacent to the right of the first stitch. Check the stitch count once completed. Start counting stitches from the last stitch and continue all the way back to the first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 11, 12. There are 12 stitches in total for this round. The total stitch count for each round is clearly marked in the corresponding chart. I won't mention it again from now on. Trim off the extra yarn tail from the starting chain directly. Round 2 is now completed. Continue to crochet round 3. R3 is X, V, times 6. The parentheses here indicate a group. Times number means how many times to repeat the pattern. First, work 1 single crochet. Then work 1 SC2-in-1. X, V, is now completed. Let me demonstrate one more time. First, work 1 single crochet. Then work 1 SC2-in-1. This is the second time. This round needs to repeat X, V, 6 times in total. For the remaining 4 repeats, simply follow the method of 1 single crochet and 1 SC2-in-1. The last single crochet increase goes into the adjacent stitch to the right of the first stitch. Each following round ends by working into the adjacent stitch to the right of the first stitch. Round 3 is now completed. Let's take a look. The right side shows a clear texture, while the wrong side appears blurry. From now on, always work on the right side. Next, we'll start round 4. First, work 1 single crochet. Then work 1 SC2-in-1. Then 1 single crochet. X, V, X is now completed. Let me demonstrate again. First, work 1 single crochet. Then 1 SC2-in-1. Continue with 1 single crochet. This is the second time. Keep crocheting using the same method. For the last stitch, correspondingly work 1 single crochet. The 4th round is now completed. Move on to the 5th round. First, work 1 single crochet increase. Then 3 single crochets. V3X is now completed. Pay attention. The increase placement should follow the stitch count order in the chart. Don't adjust randomly. Continue crocheting using the previous method. The 5th round is now completed. The remaining part of the small bag is simple to crochet. All the stitches used have been demonstrated in detail earlier. The meaning of the stitch instructions is similar. Just follow the stitch order in the chart and repeat the corresponding number of times. Let me explain here. R12 in the chart means work even 66x, which means work 66 single crochets one stitch to another. R15 R29 shows work even 72x. It means from round 15. Each round has 72 stitches. Keep crocheting up to the end of round 29. Mark the first stitch of each round to avoid losing track of which round you're on. This is a small sample I made by crocheting a few rounds without increasing or decreasing. Working even without increases or decreases will cause the fabric to naturally curl. Adjust the fabric so the right side faces out. For the last 3 rounds, follow the chart. Continue downward using the methods learned earlier, and refer to both the chart and the diagram, and complete the part before the last 2 rounds by yourself. I won't demonstrate further. The hooking method for the last 2 rounds at the bag opening is special. I'll demonstrate it using this small sample. Start with a chain 1 as the beginning chain. Work 1 single crochet into the starting chain below. Then work 1 chain as a transition. Skip the chain space and work 1 single crochet on the left stitch, followed by another chain stitch. Work 1 single crochet on the left stitch. Repeat twice. Now there are 4 single crochets, followed by a chain stitch. Skip the left chain space and work 1 single crochet into the next chain space, followed by 2 chains and 1 single crochet. Then chain 1. Skip the left chain space and work 1 single crochet into the stitch. Repeat 4 times. Then chain 1. Skip the left chain space and work 1 single crochet into the next chain space, followed by 2 chains and 1 single crochet. Let's take a look at the fabric piece. Treat these 5 chains and 4 single crochets as pattern A, and these 2 single crochets and 2 chains as pattern B. This round is alternating between pattern A and B. Continue down following this pattern to finish the round. Complete the last pattern B. Chain 1 and slip stitch into the first single crochet. Tighten it up. The second to last round is done. Now move on to the final round. Start with a chain 1 as beginning chain. Work 1 single crochet into the left chain space. Make 3 chains as a transition. Skip the left chain space. Work 1 single crochet into the next chain space. Chain 1. And work 1 single crochet into the left chain space. Now we're at the pattern B position. At this 2 chain space, crochet 3 double crochets. And 1 chain. Then make a CH3SL picket. First chain 3. Then go back to the first chain, which is the second chain from the left of the double crochet. Make 1 slip stitch. One picket stitch is completed. Continue to crochet 3 double crochets into the bottom chain space. The stitch pattern for pattern B is completed. I'll demonstrate it again. At the chain space of pattern A, correspondingly make 1 single crochet, 1 chain and 1 single crochet, then chain 3. Skip the chain space on the left side. Start from the next chain space. Correspondingly make 1 single crochet, 1 chain and 1 single crochet. Pattern A is completed. Next, at the position of pattern B, pick up 2 chain spaces. Crochet 3 double crochets. One chain. 1 CH3SL picket. And 3 double crochets. The position of pattern B is completed. Continue downward following this method. Work the remaining part of this round. Complete the last pattern B position. Make 1 single crochet and chain 1 at the left chain space. Join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Tighten it. Then fasten off normally. Weave in the ends by yourself. The last round is now completed. The marked yarn tail can be pulled out directly. Up to this point, the crocheting method for the main body of the small bag is finished. After completing the main body, proceed to make the accessories for the larger bag, which including the drawstring, pomegranates, leaves, D-ring and strap. Let's start by crocheting the pomegranate. First, take a look at the finished product. It also begins with a magic ring. Using the spiral crocheting method, the first 9 rounds are relatively simple. Just follow the stitch pattern in the chart. We need to add stuffing before crocheting the last 2 rounds. Then fasten off and close up. Finally, crochet the fruit stem. The new stitch technique used is the A for SC2 tog. You can refer to the chart and finish the first 9 rounds of the pomegranate on your own. I won't be demonstrating that part. Round 10 begins with decreases. I'll use this small sample to demonstrate the technique. First, crochet 4 single crochets. Then work 1 SC2 tog. Let's take a look first. There are 2 strands of the stitch. The one closer to you is called the front loop. The other one is the back loop. Insert into the front loop of the first stitch. Then insert into the front loop of the left stitch. There are 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, draw through the first 2 loops. 2 loops remain. Yarn over again, draw through in once. A SC2 tog is completed. This method of picking up only the front loops for decreases is called the invisible decrease. When crocheting with this method, the gaps between stitches are smaller. The fabric looks more delicate overall. Crochet 4 single crochets. 4x is completed. Let me demonstrate once again. First, crochet 4 single crochets. Then crochet 1 SC2 tog. Insert the hook through the front loops of the 2 adjacent stitches on the left side in order. Yarn over, pass through the first 2 loops on the hook in order. Repeat twice. Once. Twice. A SC2 tog is completed. Crochet 4 single crochets. The stitch pattern inside the parentheses is completed once again. Continue crocheting using the previous method. The 10th round is completed. The remaining stitches of the fabric are quite simple. You can crochet it following the chart. Stuffing is also needed during the crocheting process. Please start stuffing when there are 2 rounds left. Next, I'll use this swatch to demonstrate the stuffing method. Fluff up the stuffing and then stuff it in. A crochet hook can be used to help. Once it's roughly firm enough, pinch the curve of the fabric slightly and adjust the shape properly. This is the stuffing method. The final round of the fabric is a continuous SC2 tog. You need to pick up the back loop only of the stitch and work a SC2 tog. The way to do a SC2 tog is pick up the back loop of the left stitch, work an incomplete single crochet, then pick up the back loop of the adjacent stitch, work another incomplete single crochet. Now there are 3 loops on your hook, which are 2 incomplete single crochets. Yarn over and draw through all 3 loops on your hook. 1 SC2 tog is completed. Then work another SC2 tog. First, pick up the back loop separately. Work 2 incomplete single crochets. Then yarn over and draw through all 3 loops on your hook. Another SC2 tog is completed. Continue working downward. Finish the last SC2 tog. The final round is now done. Then break the yarn. Leave about 10 centimeters of yarn tail and cut it off. Simply pull the tail through and tighten it. The fasten off is completed. The marked yarn tail will no longer be used. You can pull it out directly. Thread the yarn tail onto a darning needle. Pick up the front loops of the last round stitches one by one. Then pull tight all at once. For the excess tail, weave through a few times in an adjacent area. Insert the needle from the center of the closure. Pull out at any position. Gently pull the yarn and press the closing flat. Weave the excess tail through a few more times inside the fabric. Cut it off. The closing is completed. The main part of one pomegranate is done. Next, crochet the fruit stem on the 13th round of the pomegranate. Let's take a look at the swatch. Since the last round was crocheted into the back loops only of the picked up stitches, the front loops below formed these continuous little segments. The stem is crocheted by picking up these little segments. First, let's join the yarn. Take the corresponding yarn, make a slip knot. Position the closure facing upward. Have the starting point facing towards yourself. Join the yarn on any of these segments. Insert the crochet hook through it. Pull the slip knot through. Adjust the loop size. Then make one beginning chain to start. Work one single crochet and one double crochet on this segment. Then make a CH3SL picket. On the left side segment, work one double crochet and one single crochet. One petal of the stem is completed. Let me demonstrate again. Work one single crochet and one double crochet on the left side segment. Then make a CH3SL picket. Next, work one double crochet on the left side segment. And one single crochet. Another petal is completed. Continue this method downward. Finish the remaining petals. The first round of the stem is done. Now move on to round 2. First make one chain for transition. Then find the insertion position of these two stitches on the left side. Work one slip stitch. Continue picking the left side insertion positions downward and work slip stitches. To complete this round, after finishing, stretch the loop. Cut the yarn. Weave in the ends. The pomegranate stem is done. Next, sew on acrylic rhinestones onto the pomegranate. Cut about 50 centimeters of yarn for the body and leave the remaining yarn tail for later use. Split out 2 strands and insert into a suitable size golden tail needle. Make a knot at the end of the yarn. Pierce through any part of the pomegranate. Gently tighten. So the yarn tail goes completely inside the pomegranate. Pay attention not to pull it all out. Then insert from the yarn tail position. And exit at any other position. Slightly tighten. Repeat this method several times. Finally, exit through any stitch on the 3rd round. Insert a acrylic rhinestone. Pay attention, the flat side should face the pomegranate. Insert through another hole. And at the same time insert into the pomegranate. Then exit through a stitch on the 5th round at the upper right. Sew on the next acrylic rhinestone. Follow this method going downward. Roughly place 7 acrylic rhinestones between rounds 3 to 10. Sew into 2 rows arranged in a crescent shape. After sewing, use the same method to go through the pomegranate a few more times. Trim off any excess yarn tails. The acrylic rhinestones are now sewn on. Up to this point, the making method of the pomegranate is completed. Next, crochet the drawstring for the big bag. Take out the corresponding yarn. I'll continue demonstrating with cotton yarn. Color scheme is random. First, we'll start with a foundation chain. Leave about 10 centimeters of yarn tail. Hold the yarn in place with your left hand. Pick up the crochet hook with your right hand. Position it underneath the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise once around. Use your left thumb and middle finger to pinch the crossing point of the loop. Position the hook to the left side of the yarn. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. This slip knot does not count as a stitch. Gently tighten it. Then crochet chain stitches. Please refer to the paper pattern instruction for exact stitch count. After completion, Take out a pomegranate. Join with a slip stitch at the center of the foundation chain, where the end without the crochet stem. Insert the hook into the center. Come out at any position along the base of this round. Pull the yarn through. The slip stitch is completed. Then pick up the top strand of each chain stitch loop and crochet slip stitches one by one. Until all the chain stitches are completed. After completion, simply stretch the loop. Leave a 1/5 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. Gently tighten it. The drawstring is completed. Next, attach the drawstring to the main body of the bag. Take the main piece of the bag. Position the first 2 rounds of slip stitch marks on the wrong side of the bag. Keep the right side facing you. Insert through any hole on the right side. Come out through the adjacent hole on the left. Insert into the next hole. Continue downward using this method. Pass through all the holes one by one. Finally come out through the right side hole of the 3 double crochet stitches. The drawstring is now attached. Next, on the empty end of the drawstring, attach another pomegranate. Thread the yarn tail reserved for the drawstring through a yarn needle. Sew the drawstring into the center of the magic ring, where the pomegranate started. Be sure to sew it several times to secure it in place. Once completed, tie the 2 yarn ends into a double knot. Hide them separately inside the fruit. This fruit is now attached. Up to this point, the making and attaching of the drawstring is completed. Next, crochet the leaves. Let's look at the finished product. There are 2 different types of leaves. The large leaf is attached to the bag body. The small leaf is attached to the pomegranate and pendant. We will start with a foundation chain and crochet in rounds counterclockwise along the chain. The number of stitches and rounds varies. The new stitch technique used is the half double crochet. Now let me demonstrate the specific crocheting method. First, I'll demonstrate how to crochet the small leaf. I'll continue using chunky yarn for the demonstration. Colors are chosen randomly. Start by making a foundation chain. Chain 8 stitches. Starting chain is completed. Now crochet the first round. Make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Then work into the last chain of the starting chain, which is the second chain from the left. Work 1 single crochet into this stitch. The right side of the chain looks like a V-shaped braid. Insert the hook into the top loop of the chain to make a single crochet. Then work 1 single crochet into the adjacent braid on the left. Work 1 half double crochet into the next braid. Yarn over. Insert the hook. Yarn over again. Draw the yarn through. Now there are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over once more. Pull through all loops on the hook at once. 1/2 double crochet is completed. Then work 3 double crochets. Work 1/2 double crochet. Yarn over. Insert the hook. Yarn over and draw through. Yarn over again. Pull through all 3 loops at once. The second half double crochet is completed. Now there's 1 chain stitch left. On this braid, start with 2 single crochets. Then make a CH3SL picket. First, chain 3. Next, on the first chain stitch, pick up the top 2 strands and make 1 slip stitch. 1 picket stitch is completed. Continue by working 1 single crochet into the chain stitch, where the single crochet is inserted. Then pick up the remaining 2 strands of the chain stitch. Work 1/2 double crochet correspondingly. Don't forget to finish the starting yarn tail. Then work 3 double crochets. One-half double crochet. And 2 single crochets. Then make 1 chain stitch to secure. Leave about 1 5 cm yarn tail, and cut it off. If there's still any starting yarn tail left, cut it directly. One small leaf is completed. Continue crocheting the remaining small leaves using this method, and refer to the paper instructions for the exact quantity. I won't repeat the demonstration. Next, attach the small leaves to the drawstring. Let's have a look at the finished product. Attach the leaves to the end of the drawstring, near the base of the pomegranate, on the left side of those acrylic drills. I'll use a sample to demonstrate the sewing method. Thread the reserved yarn tail into the yarn needle. First insert from the left stitch. Then insert into the drawstring near the base of the fruit. I'm using this sample to demonstrate. The sample shape is random, just demonstrating the method. Then insert into the center of the securing chain stitch. Gently tighten it. Pay attention to keep the right side facing up, with the wrong side facing the fruit. You can sew through again to secure it further. Then attach the base of the leaf to the fruit. Please refer to the paper instructions for exact positioning. Then tie a double knot on the back of the leaf. Weave in the ends. The small leaf is now attached. The crocheting method for the large leaf is similar to that of the small leaf. Now let's take a look at the finished product. Using the chain stitch to start, crochet in rounds counterclockwise along the starting chain. No new stitch techniques are used. Next, I will demonstrate the specific crocheting method. First, cast on the required number of chain stitches. Then work one chain stitch as a beginning chain. Crochet according to the chart until before the last chain stitch position. Now we've reached this position. Work one single crochet into this chain stitch. 3 chains and 1 single crochet. Then pick up the remaining 2 threads of the chain. Crochet symmetrically until reaching the last chain stitch position. Work 1/2 double crochet into this chain stitch position. The first round is now completed, then work the second round. Simply pick up the first stitch from the previous round. Which is the left stitch? Work 1 slip stitch. Then work 2 slip stitches correspondingly. Then continue with single crochets until before these 3 chain stitches. Now we've reached this position. Pick up the chain stitch position and work 3 single crochets. Then continue picking up stitches and work single crochets until before these 4 single crochet stitches. Then work 1 single crochet and 3 slip stitches. Finally, at the half double crochet stitch, work 1 slip stitch. Stretch the loop. Leave a yarn tail of about 15 centimeters. Trim off. Thread the yarn tail through the yarn needle. Pull through the adjacent stitch. Then insert into the middle of the slip stitch, which is the stitch where the yarn tail is located. Gently tighten it. After weaving in the tails like this, there are no obvious marks on the surface. Leave the yarn tail for now. The leaf is completed. Next, attach the large leaf to the main body of the bag. I'll demonstrate using this swatch. Stitch count is random, only demonstrating the method. Attach the leaves to the right side of the chain space, where the drawstring comes out on the front side of the bag. Anywhere along a double crochet or below a chain space. Make sure the right side of the leaf faces outward and the wrong side faces the bag. No specific sewing method required. Sew one end of the leaf to this position. Just make sure it's securely attached. Finish with a double knot. Weave in the ends. Trim off the excess. So the large leaf is attached. Next, sew D-rings onto both sides of the bag body. The starting position for inserting the drawstring is at the middle of the right side. Attach the D-rings to both sides of the bag body, about 7 centimeters away from the top of the bag. I'll demonstrate using this small sample. Use the remaining yarn from the bag body for sewing. I'm using a random color scheme here. Cut about 60 centimeters of yarn tail. Thread the needle. Come out from the corresponding position inside the bag body. Leave a small tail at the back. Sew from right to left. Then sew back again. After sewing, tie a double knot at the beginning and end of the thread. Weave in the ends as needed. One D-ring has been sewn on. Attach the other D-ring using the same method. Make sure the positions of the two D-rings are symmetrical. I won't demonstrate this part. Next, clip the strap directly onto the D-ring. Up to this point, the demonstration for making the large bag accessories is complete. After completing the main body, we'll proceed to make the accessories. Take a look at the finished product. Accessories include a drawstring, slip stitch texture, glass beads and large leaves. First, crochet and attach the drawstring. Then crochet the slip stitch texture. Sew on the glass beads. And finally attach the large leaves. Now, please watch me demonstrate the specific crocheting method. I'll use this small sample to demonstrate how to make and attach the drawstring. The swatch is crocheted with solid color yarn, using random stitches. Just showing the method here. Take the corresponding yarn. First chain the required number of stitches to begin. Please refer to the paper instructions for details, or crochet to the desired length based on your needs. Then attach the drawstring crocheted with chain stitches to the bag body. Insert the hook through the right side hole above the leaf. From the end where you started casting on. Skip one space. Then exit through the next hole. Skip another space. And insert into the following hole. Follow this method. Continue all the way around. Finally exit through the second space to the left of the starting point. Hold the back side of the braid facing you. Fold both sides toward the middle. Be careful not to twist the braid. Pick up one strand from the top of the first braid. Join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The cast on is now completed. Next, chain 1 to begin. Then work 1 slip stitch into each corresponding stitch. After crocheting a few stitches, gently pull out the remaining chain loops. The end with the slip stitch has already been hooked. Stuff into the hole of the bag body. Then continue working slip stitches until you finish this round. When you're almost done with the round, if the chain twists up, adjust the drawstring on the left side. Straighten out the chain loops. Then keep crocheting. Once finished, join with a slip stitch into the first slip stitch loop. Pull tight. Fasten off normally. Tie a double knot with the beginning and ending yarn tails. And hide all the yarn ends yourself. So, the drawstring of the small bag is made and attached. Next, crochet decorative slip stitches on the bag body. Take the remaining yarn from the small bag crocheting. My color choice is random here. Insert the hook into any stitch of the first round, at the bottom of the bag. Hook the yarn out from the inside of the bag. Leave a short yarn tail. Then crochet a slip stitch into the next stitch on the left. Continue working one stitch to another. Hook slip stitches angled to the left side. Actually crochet about 12 rounds. Start crocheting upward for a few rounds. Then angle to the right. creating an S-shaped pattern with the slip stitch marks. Now you've reached the chain space. Chain 1. Pull part of the yarn tail out through this hole. Then pick up a half stitch above the left side slip stitch braid. Work into each stitch in sequence with slip stitches. Crochet all the way back to the first slip stitch braid. After completing, stretch the loop. Cut the yarn leaving about a 5 cm tail. Weave the tail into the inside of the bag. Tie a double knot at both ends of the yarn, and hide the yarn tails yourself. The method is quite simple, so I won't demonstrate it here. The slip stitch texture is now completed. Next, cut about 50 cm of remaining yarn for the small bag crocheting. Take out 2 strands and thread them into a gold-tipped needle along the right side of the slip stitch texture, actually between round 11 to round 28. Sew on the glass beads one by one. My sample has fewer rounds. Follow the same method, roughly in a crescent shape. Sew on 3 rows. My sample has fewer here. Once completed, tie a double knot with the beginning and ending yarn tails, and weave in the ends. The sewing method for the glass beads is now finished. Next, sew on the large leaves. Let's look at the finished product. Leaves are sewn on the right side of the glass bead, approximately 3 double crochets apart, positioned below the 4th double crochet. The sewing method is the same as the one used for attaching leaves on the big pouch. Please sew on the leaves by yourself. I will not repeat the demonstration. Up to this point, the making method of the small pouch is now completed. Next, let's make the hanging ornament. Let's look at the finished product. The ornament includes leaves, pomegranates, and a drawstring. First, crochet the required number of leaves and pomegranates separately. Then crochet the drawstring. The drawstring is crocheted using the same method as the one for the big pouch. Start by crocheting the required number of chain stitches, then attach the pomegranate at the ending position. Next, work back by crocheting slip stitches. When you reach the fork position, first crochet the required chain stitches, then attach another pomegranate, then crochet back with slip stitches. After that, continue crocheting forward to complete the remaining forks. Finally, sew on the small leaves. The method is the same as the previous attaching method. For the exact positions of the drawstring forks and small leaves, please refer to the finished product or paper pattern chart. The method is quite simple, so I won't demonstrate it here. The ornament can be attached to the D-ring like this. Up to this point, the crochet method for this bag with pouch is now complete. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.